when you have people knocking on your door and taking you away without due process as a citizen, isn't that what the Second Amendment was written for?
This dude's crash out is officially not funny anymore because he's gonna get somebody killed. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another short form video. We're gonna talk about Don Lemon, who most people know from his long stint on CNN, where he made millions of dollars as a top-rated political analyst, supposedly. But he was fired from CNN, or he left CNN, I don't remember the exact details, and since then has gone independent and slowly kind of spiraled into madness. Really some genuinely deranged territory. I mean, we see this happen regularly when people leave media institutions that are like mainstream. They get even worse somehow. So it's like, wow, we already thought they were nuts when they were on air, but then they go somewhere else and or they go on their own, and you realize that before was them being kept in check by producers and editors and executives. And once they go on their own, they become desperate and unhinged. And that's exactly what's happening to Mr. Don Lemon, who I don't know if he's just trying to draw attention to himself, but he just made some honestly kind of jaw-dropping comments that are dangerous. Really, this is a new low for him, even by his abysmal standards at this point. Let's take a look at what he had to say, and then we'll chat about it.
Black people, brown people of all stripes, whether you're an Indian American or a Mexican American or whoever you are, go out in your place where you live and get a gun legally, get a license to carry legally.
So I'll just pause here for a second. I've always supported this. Like, I think it's great if more minorities arm themselves, defend themselves. Wonderful. I have no issue with that whatsoever. It is funny how so many like lifelong gun control people suddenly love the Second Amendment in very specific situations, or now that they think some bad things are happening or something. Like, for example, I mean, democratic policies have made concealed carry permits almost impossible to get in some areas. Like New York City, it went all the way to the Supreme Court, I believe, because they basically made it so you couldn't carry in all practical sense because of how restrictive their permitting regime was. And it's like, now that they're wherever they're worried about, they suddenly are glad that's an option. I always thought that should be an option for law-abiding, responsible citizens of all races and all colors. So that doesn't bother me, but it is interesting to watch the switch up. But we haven't gotten to the deranged part yet. Also, like, side note, not really sure what Indian Americans or Black Americans, because this is all about ICE and the crackdown on illegal immigration and immigrants, which we can have a conversation about. I think some of it's going significantly too far and overboard. However, what any of that has to do with Indian Americans or Black people, what Trump is doing against them, I don't think there's really much there. Just a lot of hot air from Don.
Because when you have people knocking on your door and taking you away without due process as a citizen, isn't that what the Second Amendment was written for? Go back and read what the Second Amendment says. And perhaps it will knock some sense in the heads of these people who are saying, well, it's all great. I don't believe they're doing it without due process. They're asking people for papers. They're not really beating people up. These people are doing things that are illegal. Nobody is illegal. It is a misdemeanor to cross the border.
So there's a lot there from Don, but I guess we should take this one at a time. The first part of this that we just listened to, he appears to suggest that citizens should take up arms against ICE agents, that they should buy guns to fight federal law enforcement officers. That is an insane thing to suggest. I've been very critical of some of the Trump immigration policies that I do think violate due process, but the right way to challenge that is through public pushback, through media spotlights, through court cases, not to try to shoot ICE officers. That is genuinely deranged to suggest, and it's also terrible advice for anybody foolish enough to listen to you. If ICE officers are trying to apprehend you and you try to resist them with guns, the most likely scenario is you end up dead. They kill you. I mean, maybe he's just trying to be edgy. He's just trying to have a moment, do his big one, go viral, what have you. And it's worked for that purpose, I guess, Don. but you are actively giving your followers advice that endangers them. Picking an armed fight with cops or law enforcement of any kind is a great way to die. And I personally prefer that my followers and listeners stay alive. So I try to avoid giving them advice or suggestions that would endanger their lives. And then, I mean, his whole rant about like entering the country illegally isn't even a crime. It's like, but it's a misdemeanor. Well, that's a form of crime. And the conversation there is nuanced. There are some forms of illegal immigration that are civil offenses, like if you overstay a visa, I believe, but actively, I think crossing the border is a criminal offense. But it all kind of defeats the point. It's like the fact is that people don't have legal status, and so they're not supposed to be in the country. And the Trump administration was elected on a specific promise to deport those people. I have always favored a compromise where we deport millions of people who are here, who are committing crimes, who are abusing welfare, who are harming the communities that they're in, and then we create a path for legal status for a lot of the people that remain. But that's not what the Trump administration said. They campaigned on mass deportation, and now they're doing it. And you don't have to agree with it. I don't fully agree with it. You can critique the way they're going about it. I have a lot of concerns about the tactics that ICE is using. But to go out there and suggest that people start shooting ICE officers or fighting them with guns, which he'll try to deny that that's what he's saying. Like once he gets pushback for this, he's going to say, that's not what I was saying. But it very clearly is, I think, if you listen to him and what he's saying. He's suggesting the Second Amendment is about resisting the government with guns. And these people, these ICE agents are coming to your house. You should resist them. You should get a gun. The implication there is a call for violence against law enforcement and a call that, like I said, will get his own viewers and listeners killed. I think that's really messed up to suggest. And this guy is not well. Like, I'll insert a clip here, but we talked about this briefly. The rant he went on about white men the other day. Listen to that in case you forgot.
White men, something is broken. Something is cracked deep inside when so many of you believe the answer to fear, to loss, to change is violence. Are you listening to me? I hope I'm saying it loud enough for the people in the back.
Like, this is just racist and unhinged stuff. And it really does seem like this guy is kind of spiraling. And I don't understand why. Surely his show, his independent publication, his Substack, all that is doing well enough to keep the lights on. I think what's happening here is that, frankly, he's not that interesting. He's not that insightful. He's not that good at this. And I think his promotion within CNN may have had to do with how many boxes he checks off on the identity, categories that they were looking to uplift as part of their DEI and diversity stats and all that, rather than his real merit as a journalist and commentator, which has never been very impressive, at least to me. Now, the thing I'll say is that I'm sure he's making enough money to at least keep the lights on, but what he's not doing is getting the kind of attention and spotlight that he likely became addicted to while he was at CNN. So then, in our current media environment and ecosystem, the best way to get that attention is to say crazy stuff to go viral. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. And I've seen some people say, like, oh, what he's doing here in this clip about calling for people to resist ICE is a criminal offense. Trump should prosecute him. Two things. One, I think what he said is reprehensible and terrible to say, but I actually think it's probably still First Amendment protected speech. It doesn't meet the narrow definition of incitement. But two, for Trump to go after him and try to prosecute him, that would be the biggest gift. He would love that. That would make his day. That would give him all the media spotlight and attention. He could play the victim. I think that's actually what he wants. I think he's trying to like bait the Tom Homans of the world to come after him by saying this kind of edgy stuff. And the best thing they could do is ignore him, honestly, and let him continue to fade into irrelevancy. But it's kind of sad, honestly, watching somebody debase themselves like this. Like, I don't think the clicks can be worth it. I don't think outrage and getting the brief spotlight on you only when you say something horrible or terrible has to be a pretty shallow form of attention to get. I don't know, but it seems like that's what a lot of people are after these days. And they are slowly driving our political commentary and our media off the brink. But other than that, they're doing amazing. Really great stuff from Don Lemon and others like him these days. You guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you big Don Lemon fans, especially these days? Make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, comment, yada, yada, yada. And if you're interested in my longer form content, make sure you check out the Brad vs. Everyone podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. I take on internet insanity, social media trends, and other nonsense, all from an independent perspective. You can listen on iHeart, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or here on YouTube. And with that, guys, we'll talk again real soon.